Get back on. He said we live. We live.
I don't hear him say that. Um,
We on.
I didn't hear him say that.
We're on.
I guess we are. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
All right, people.
Wow.
Welcome to,
Okay.
welcome to another episode of Black Man's Locker. Please excuse our technical difficulties as we try to work things out. We will get it going and get it ready for you guys. Meanwhile, it's just me and my brother Norris. We got Ty coming a little bit later. He's on his transition back home. And we
Right.
got Marlon popping in and out. So we have an interesting show for you guys today.
Marlon's
Boy.
mom. Marlon's mom put in the comments, "Y'all live."
Well, we always got to start off like this.
Man.
I think we need to get a green button, man. We need to get a green button that lets us know when we live. But again, so a lot of people saw the flyer that we had out, and there was like politics. It had Trump, it had Harris on it, and it said Crossroads. So we know it's about this time of the year where things start getting pretty divisive as we look forward to this new presidential election. And so around this time of the year, a lot of people lose some friends. A lot of people have some difficulties at this time of space. What does this time of the year mean for you guys?
I mean, if you just really want me to be honest, I think what this does, this time of the year shows you the real from the fake.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just keep it honest. It gives you good insight on the people that you deal with. It gives you good insight on people that you call friends. You get to see a lot of the differences and disparities, between yourself and your counterparts that are not of the same ethnicity as you.
Okay.
And so that's, I think, one of the main things that I see is you get to see, and everybody is able to have their opinion. I mean, everybody is supposed to, as we're in the land of the free, you should be able, to pick and choose, feel how you want to feel about whoever you want to feel about that person, or how you want to feel about that person. And
is it always the other counterparts, or is it some of us too, though?
Some of us too. Absolutely. I mean, it like you get a wide range of emotion. You get a wide range of controversy and conversation and opinion. You get a wide range of slaps in the face. Sometimes just seeing the different opinions of people that like I said, that you may call friend or an associate or whatever. So yeah.
So one of the things Marlon, you on?
I think something wrong with his video.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we all kind of recognize is a couple of years ago, politics was a lot more smoother. It wasn't so divisive. Now it's gotten so divisive, and people are just kind of at each other's necks, And so one of the things I want to kind of highlight and talk about is, why is politics so divisive? Marlon, you on?
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
I can hear you. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna rock with it like this so I can get this camera up right.
Okay. Did you hear my question?
Yeah. Basically, like you said, you just said it. You said what I was gonna say. Before Obama second term, really first term, because the people were kind of starting to trip in, but the second term was when cats were kind of acting weird, and you started seeing. But then when Trump, Clinton, when they ran, that's when you really saw it. Like a lot of my non-black friends, my non-melanated friends, and even some of my melanated friends, they started acting different. A lot of the non-melanated ones that like to act like they were melanated, that was listening to the rap music and trying to be down suddenly, they became bikers all of a sudden, and and they started acting different, and I lost a lot of friends. Like Nora said earlier, you lose friends, and but I think this go around is different because it's like we know the evils that plague this election on both sides. I'm not saying on one side, but we know what's going on, and I think we're all way more aware of what's going on. And I feel like this is probably going to be one of the most important elections that we've ever dealt with. So
now you made a comment. You said that we kind of know what's going on, and I kind of challenge that sometimes. I think I feel like we know what they allow us to know. As much technology we have, we still only know a fraction of what kind of happens on behind the scenes. And you're right. I mean, there's so many different. I mean, one of the things that I kind of look at is us as a people of color, melanated folks. We're not a monolith. There's a lot of us that think different. There's some of us that agree with some oppressive views. There's some of us that are raised different, and so we don't all share the same opinions. And so some of the factors I kind of pulled up, and I wanted to kind of throw those out there when we talk in terms of why the politics can become so divisive. A variety of factors is, I'm gonna throw a couple of these out here. And you guys tell me what you think. Obviously, because they tie into some of the strongly held beliefs. People often have strongly held political beliefs that and may label those who disagree with them as ignorant or immoral. The negative toxicity of some of these elections has gotten pretty bad, where there's a constant demonizing of the other side, and there's very little conversation about similarities, and there seems to be more emphasis on what they don't like is something that threatens our freedom or threatens something that we have. Media influence has always been a big thing. The news media plays a significant role in shaping like the public opinion. They angry on TV, they angry on radio, they angry on social media, and it sways people and makes them start thinking, especially if it's your favorite person. People seem to not check ideas, regardless how wild they are, if they come from their favorite person. If your favorite person is saying something, people have a tendency to kind of agree with it instead of saying, hey, you know what, that don't sound right. Identity politics. So politics that intersect with identity, including race, religion, socioeconomic status. Like, for example, like the U.S. had a troubled history with race relations, obviously, and a lot of backlash against efforts to kind of address like the structural racism that we have and how that's contributed to political division. You have a lot of politics and a lot of politicians that use things like dog whistles, and we have a history of that in our company and in our country. Economic factors like economic changes and disparities and how they can also drive political division. In-group and out-group, like political messaging, also creates like in-groups and out-groups, getting people to label each other and invoking feelings of like us towards the other people. Like we can't have a conversation about things. And then it's just this, the winner take all system. I'm starting to notice that seems to be kind of the vibe that we starting to get. Democratic politics is often, democratic politics is often a winner take all system. And, it just kind of breeds divisiveness and angriness and opposition, especially when like the activist government power is like, it's required to achieve like the social goals. And so, I mean, I know I threw a lot out there, but what are you guys' thoughts to kind of run them back? Strongly held beliefs, media influence.
I mean, it's definitely media influence.
Absolutely.
I think ever since when they started doing like rock the boats and things like that, probably even before then, I know at least in my generation, when I was, because before I was old enough to vote, I didn't really care. I'm being honest with you.
Right.
I'm talking when I was younger, when I was a minor, I didn't care. We would go to school and we would have the little school polls and do like, who wants to vote for Bill Clinton? That type. I'm a young buck. I don't care. I'm like in middle school, so it really didn't hit me. Now all I know is that Bill Clinton was on Arsenio Hall playing the saxophone. I thought that was cool. That's all I cared about. But to me, one of the most dangerous things about the last 2, maybe even 3 elections have been the fact that I think people with social media, people have learned how to tap into, because there's millions of dollars that goes into these elections on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I met a guy. I had this debate with this guy on social media, and he's a huge influencer, or at least he was. He's not. I noticed he's not doing anything this year. This time. I don't know if he's sick or whatever, but he was a huge influencer for Republicans. And I was just, I was losing my mind. I'm not going to say what I said or what I thought, but he actually got in my inbox, and because we were having a really good debate, and where he was basically like, you should really dive into this, brother. You can make some money. And I'm like, what? And what are you talking about? He's like, bro, he said, I literally quit my job. He said, I started doing this. And he said he had his Cash App up or whatever, PayPal or whatever he had. And people were just sending him money because he was just giving some thoughts, and he died right into it. Merch. A lot of people have changed their whole platforms up. Like the Hodge twins, they were doing comedic takes on things. Now they're 100%, into politics, and they're winning. People are winning. It's so many people that do that, especially with TikTok. Like I was on TikTok, there was a guy, and it felt like he was preaching, but he was just basically screaming a bunch of political rhetoric. And it was just weird. And people were sending him gifts and monetary things on TikTok. And he was like, in between him saying what he was saying, he said, thank you for the $5 donation. Thank you for the $10 donation. And I was cracking up laughing because he's literally saying the same paragraph over and over again and throwing a couple, good old American songs in there. And, people are like, but see, people who don't know better, they're so lost in the sauce. Mm-hmm. And they feel like, and there's this whole mind thing of, if you don't vote for this person, your life as you know it could change. You know what I'm saying? And to me, and that's I think that frightens people so much that they don't use good common sense. Right. And I think with this election, I think people are starting to kind of wake up from that. But at the same time, I mean, with me, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I just vote for whatever I feel is best for me and my family. And and I listen to both sides. I listen to everything that everyone's saying. I crack a joke. I don't know if you know, on my Facebook page, I crack jokes on both sides. I'll be saying weird, funny stuff because no one's perfect. We're all human. We bleed the same blood. But at the end of the day, when we go into those polls, I'm voting, and I'm going to vote for whoever I feel is necessary to carry this country on.
Okay.
Right.
Norris, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like politics is one big, huge racket, if I'm just being honest, man.
Clarify.
Well, we have this democracy that's supposed to be in place, where we're able to choose who we feel is the best candidate, for whatever, situation, we're voting for. And like you had mentioned earlier, everybody plays the blame game. What I've noticed, and something that I've really just kind of looked at in this particular time frame of what we in is, you have one that will blame a whole party, for all of the bad stuff, that's going on, and then you have the other one that's blaming the other whole party, for all of this stuff. And I guess my thing is nobody's taking accountability, for the things that have happened, the things that have been put in place, laws and different things that have changed over time. And nobody is willing, to me, to take the, the road of, redemption to the degree that it would put us back in, a place where at one point we were a very revered country. I think right now, man, if I'm just being frank, man, I think we're the laughing stock, honestly, of the world, where we were once this, this great country that everybody wanted to come to because, of our freedoms and all of these different things, man. I mean, just over time, we've seen things happen, and we've allowed things to happen in a sense that it's just created, this whole dynamic of us flailing, as a country. We're not the superpower that we once were. And so what it kind of, when I look at the people in here, and I know this is going to sound crazy because I was talking to somebody about this the other day, but what I look at these cats in here that we have to deal with and everything else, it reminds me of the Distinguished Gentleman movie. And if you've never seen the movie The Distinguished Gentleman, you have to see it. It's an Eddie Murphy movie, and it is a comedy, but it's about him being a con man, him and his partners. It's like four, and they all were con men and con women, run game on folks, getting money and doing everything else. It just so happens that there was a person that was in the running for a particular office by the name of Jeff Johnson. Jeff Johnson, the original Jeff Johnson, ended up passing away. And so what did he do? Because his name was Jeff Johnson, he literally used his name and cleaned himself up, got all his people together, got with some of the big wigs that were actually in politics. They chose him as a running mate based off of his name.
Yeah.
And ran a huge, humongous con on all kind of political folk in that area, that he was running. I mean, it was just crazy. And I mean, they were just cashing him out.
I remember the movie. Yeah.
Cashing him out. Well, hey, if you vote for this over here, then we'll give you so many thousands of dollars. Or if you vote for this over here, we'll give you so many thousands of dollars. And to me, I mean, I don't really see anybody that is looking to push for the best interest of the country. I feel like what I'm seeing is people that are pushing for the best interest of themselves and their families, which is a whole different tax bracket from a whole lot of us, and so there's a lot of things, man. I mean, I look at police reform, we dealing with the young lady that just got shot in the face and killed, by the cops just the other day. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, this brother, if I remember right, was like kicked out of the service, all kind of stuff. He had no reason having a badge on. But that goes to show you, the policies and different things for vetting these people, all of this kind of stuff, man. It's just, I don't know, man. I could go on and on. I don't want to just,
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna let you go on. I'm gonna shift.
That's why I just cut it off, because I'm just like, man. I mean, it's
got
wild.
A good question in here. We got a good question in the chat. One of the things we did want to talk to you guys about is we want to have a conversation about how important it is for local government, because regardless of what side you believe or what side you fall on, we want you guys to get out there and vote. We want to stress the importance of going out there and vote, especially for people of color. Right. We know the history of our people and how we had to fight to get that opportunity. And so if you're not registered, we highly encourage you to make sure that's an importance in your life.
Absolutely.
But one of the questions is, I know we're supposed to vote locally. And this is from Deborah Pittman Lane. I know we're supposed to vote locally, but what do you do when the local politicians hasn't done a darn thing for the community or the culture except photo ops and worthless proclamations? That's a good question. And one of the things I wanted to highlight is when we did have our conference, the Black Men's Locker first conference. If you guys remember, we had Brandon Johnson as a local politician come in and speak about the importance of voting in your community. And so this is a great question. What do you guys have to kind of say for that?
The only thing that you can do that I believe is exercise your right to vote. If you know that they're not, if you see and you know that they're not doing the things that they should do to try to bring value to the community, to try to make changes in the community, different things like that, anybody can show, man, a good face. You know what I'm saying? And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the distinguished gentleman. You can make all of the cameos you want and make it look as though you're doing something because you're out, at a gathering, with the people, whether it be, anti-violence or, something that has to do with the LGBTQ, community, or if it's something that has to do, like we just had, the unveiling of the mural at the Lynette Woodard Center. Know what I'm saying?
Yes,
which that's huge. But you can show your face and do all of that, and it looks like you're actually doing something because you're out with, like she said, photo ops. But if we're not seeing any changes for the better concerning the community, you know what I'm saying, then what good are you? Yeah. What good are you? So voting, that's the thing. Get them out.
Yeah, that's huge. Marlon, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think with me, I can see I'm good at looking on social media and seeing what cats are doing. I'm not gonna say many names, but there is a politician that's out there in our city that I notice the people that defend them are people that are benefiting from them. I'm highly against that. I used to really like ex-mayor Whipple. I thought he was one of the more standout mayors that we've had in Wichita. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I love how Brandon Johnson's doing. Definitely. He's always had events, and he's always invited me to the events. We have a running joke. He does his breakfast. I think he does a breakfast once a month. And I always say, is there going to be pancakes, because there's never pancakes. I'm just playing, I'll be messing with him, So we got that little thing between us. But, and I also think it's dependent on the districts because, everywhere in the city is different. You know what I'm saying? So, I mainly pay attention to judges. I pay attention to, my district and the district my people live in. I don't really I just tell people, just go with what go with your heart. Don't just go because one's blue or one's red or whatever you are, because, you have to realize that these are people that's going to sit in these seats for X amount of years, and you have to deal with that, So if you get them and they're not living up to what they are, you gotta kind of eat that, you gotta kind of eat that until the next election, and and that's if they haven't built up a cult following, and then they end up getting back in that seat. So you just got to be careful, locally, but definitely I would be more concerned. I tell people all the time, I would be a little bit more concerned with voting locally than the federal one. That's important too.
We definitely want to do that too.
The state, each individual state, city, they don't always do what is the president wants, or they don't agree with everything the president wants. Right. Like, for instance, I'm big on marijuana being legalized.
That's what I was getting ready
to say. And I
think
it's crazy that every state that touches Kansas has it legalized in some way, shape, or form. But Kansas just kind of dwelling on, no, we don't want it. But that's another episode. But
it's a whole episode.
Why they don't want to do that? Shoot.
The same reason they don't want casinos in major cities in Kansas.
Why? Yeah.
We gonna stay on topic because
we are on topic. We on topic. We on topic. We talk about politics. We
Norris about to go. Norris is about to go.
Nope. I'm not gonna go. You know why?
Let me throw something in there though, because that is a great question, and she mentioned that she received an early ballot, and that most people are going unchallenged in some of these positions.
That's crazy.
Now, one of the biggest things is holding local governments accountable, because that's crucial to maintaining like a healthy democracy, right? So, you said one of the biggest things right there, Norris, is the voting. Voting is the most direct way to hold local government accountable. These are the people who are voting for things above you. Mm-hmm. If you're unhappy about the actions of them, you go out and vote. And what we see a lot of times is people spend all this time complaining about things that they have no intention on going and doing anything other than complaining. They say they don't like this person. They don't say they don't like that person. But when you challenge them on that and say, well, why? They don't really have any real detail, no real facts or anything. It's always, some opinion about something or something they heard. So there is a remnant of us that do not vote. And we're going to get on that too, because, there's a lot of complaining, but very little action. And we have to hold ourselves as people of color to the same fire that we try to hold others to. If we don't like them, we got to get out there and we got to have the numbers to vote them out. So we want to stay informed. That's what I heard you say, Marlon. Keeping up to date with local government actions. What are they doing? And their policies. What are they doing? What are they talking about doing? And then what do they do when they actually get into these positions? A lot of them just say what they want to do to get into these positions. And then when they get into these positions, everybody that voted for them don't really hold them accountable. Right. So this involves local governments, the meetings, like reading the local news and like following them on what they're doing. A lot of them out there, like she said, doing photo ops. Well, we need to hold them accountable. What are they doing? Participating in local government is something that we have some local leaders here. Marquetta Atkins has a group, Progeny, where she's teaching these young people to come out here and have a voice. Man, I went and visited one of their meetings. It was so powerful to see the young people come out and articulate their thoughts about things, not just come out and say they don't like something, but come out and have action behind what they say they don't like, and be writing letters to officials and politicians about how it concerns them and what they want to be a part of. These town hall meetings, a lot of these things are empty. These public hearings, these places are empty, and they show them online and the room be half empty. But we say we want all these things, but we don't voice our opinions and concerns directly when we have an opportunity to have these people in front of a mic in an open forum where we can challenge their thoughts and what they say and think about things. Engaging in community action, organizing community groups. Again, kind of going back to what Miss Atkins is doing with the young people. That's phenomenal. I definitely tip my hat off to her. Transparency. Man, that's something that we have to hold them to. So yeah, I definitely hear her concern when she asked that question. And as Black men, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I think Marla said it best is, at a certain point in time in my life, it wasn't really important. Like no one taught me the importance of voting. And so kind of throwing this question out there, Norris, when was the first time that somebody kind of explained to you the importance of voting as a person of color?
Actually, when I turned 18.
Okay.
When I was in high school, shout out to my favorite counselor, man. When I was at Northwest, my senior year, Miss Thacker, she was Miss Webb at the time.
Okay.
But her name is Miss Thacker. Her son is Bronson, and he went to Heights. But Miss Thacker was our guidance counselor, and she hit me to a lot of stuff. She was a link, so I got to do a lot of stuff with them as far as like choreography when I was actually dancing and stuff back in the day and doing my thing, and doing stuff with Botillion and different things like that. But she was very big on us, especially being a woman of color. Okay. And she was strong. I mean, to this day, man, I see her and I mean, she just lights up the room, man, because she just has that type of a presence. But for us, that were under her, under her watch when we were at school, that's what she was on, man. And she wasn't playing no games. Hey, you getting ready to turn 18, you need to register, because regardless of what everybody may say, your vote, it's important, and you need to get out there and you need to exercise your right. And she didn't really go into a whole bunch of we went through this and that, and thus back in the day for you to be able to have the right. I mean, of course, that came up a little bit, but ultimately the thing was, at the end of the day, you need to do this. And so, that's it. Started early for me, man. So I registered and been doing it ever since.
And I don't hear that very often. So thank you for that.
Nah, man.
Man, we need to do more of that. We definitely need to do more of that. I find myself having conversations with my kids about the sacrifices that people like them before them came, so that they can have an opportunity to sit at the tables. We had some of our white counterparts sit at the counters. In fact, that happened here. The history in Wichita, Kansas. When the very first sit-ins happened here in Wichita, Kansas. It's important to have knowledge and stay informed about the history of minorities and how you're affected. But going back to what I was saying, just having conversations with my youth about how important it is to take advantage of opportunities, because they say if you ain't at the table, you might be on the plate.
Well, and I guess, for us, me and my wife, we were talking to our son. He just turned 18, graduated. You need to register. We was on his head. Did you register? And following up, did you register? Yeah, I registered. And his card just came in the mail the other day. But it's just vitally important, man. And unfortunately for us, the thing that I've seen over time is that we complain about what we permit, and that you can't be upset at how things are going when you don't do what you have been given the right to do. You know what I'm saying? The thing that people have fought for, because you have this mindset, oh, well, it ain't gonna matter no way. They gonna do what they want to do regardless.
I've heard that. It's ignorant.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, fellas. Wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrese Lawless.
What up, y'all? I'm here.
What the heck?
Man, I need an introduction like that.
Look, right. I might be late from getting off this road, but I'm gonna be here and be present.
Ladies and gentlemen,
unfortunately,
Spicy Ties entered the road.
Yes, yes, look, Spicy Ties here, and Spicy Tie got the spice, so you ready?
Man, we already got the spice going, so you entering at the right time, man. We just finished having a conversation about voting, how it affects our people, and I asked the question of when was the first time somebody stressed to you the importance of voting as a person of color?
Oh man, for me, it was I would have to say, man, it was when I turned 18. It was actually my mother who actually sat down and had a conversation with me, about the importance of voting. Now, of course, growing up, young adult, your parents are gonna really kind of tell you, this is what party you need to vote for, you know. But the older I got, the more I began to pay attention and really listen for myself to determine what really suited me as a citizen. But once I, became married and had children, then I had to look at, okay, what is in the best interest of not only myself, but as my children as well. So for me, that very first conversation I had was with my mom. I mean, we heard it in school, going to Southeast High School. They talked about it in class, the importance of voting for years, you know, but that real good heart to heart conversation about voting and really how those before us fought for that right. It didn't come from school, actually. It came from my mom. And that's what really broke ground with me about taking the necessary steps to ensure that I vote, not just for presidency, but even for the local offices as well, because that's where a lot of the important decisions are made, even down to the school board. I'm pretty sure y'all touched on that, the importance of voting it on all levels.
Absolutely. We're gonna talk about that school board too. That's a good area to segue into, but we're gonna let Marlon get to touch on this too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But that's, for me, that was where it all started.
Marlon.
Yeah, my answer is a little different. I'm not gonna say this is the most. Hold on, let me get this out of here. My answer is not the most prevalent, but mine came in the 4th grade actually. I don't know how old you guys are. I know how old you guys are, but were you guys in school like around, were you guys doing like class presidents in y'all schools and stuff?
Wow.
So I went to Seltzer Elementary, and we were doing our elections. We had 1st grade president, vice president, and so on and so on. I was in the 4th grade, and this non-melanated girl was running against a couple other cats, and the non-melanated girl, she was making these weird ABC after school special promises, like we're gonna have extended recess and we're gonna have cupcakes at the lunchroom and this, that, and the other. And we're all like, yeah,
a true politician.
And this one girl, I can't think of her name. I was been sitting here trying to figure out her name, but this one girl who I rode the bus with, we talked a few times. We were, I'm cool with her. She basically said, if you vote for me, she was pushing for people who have households that can't afford it to get the basic school supplies. Nothing special, pencils, pens, paper, things like that.
4th grade.
Yeah, she was really doing it. So
that's crazy.
Like she's talking about, she's talking about her mom, her family, they can't afford field trips all the time. So, maybe there was some type of something for the kids, and the kids are kind of like, it was kind of weak applause, like whatever, and I'm like, I'm at home. I stayed with my aunt and uncle at the time. And I was like, I'm like, oh man, old girl said she'll get cupcakes and we gonna have, and they had the paper with everything that they wanted to talk about, what they wanted to implement into the democracy, if you will. My uncle Burnett was like, he said, let me see it. He looked at it. He was like, well, which do you feel is more important? I said, oh man, I want the cupcakes. I want extended recess. He said, but what would that do for you?
Wow.
And I was like, well, I'll have fun. He said, okay, well, what happens when the fun's over? You're going back to school. You're going back to class. And he said, which one sounds more realistic? And I thought about it, and I told him, like, the school supplies. And he said, how could that be realistic? He said, first he asked me, how could she make the recess happen when it's USD 259 mandated what's going on?
Right.
And I thought about it, and I was like, oh, he said, now, with the girl who's giving the supplies, how does that feel realistic? And I was like, well, people could donate. I'm really giving him, he's always made me think. My uncle used to always make me think about stuff like that. So I'm sitting here like donations, maybe parents can, donate, maybe other kids, just different things, different ways that we can, it changed my whole perspective. And it always taught me to look at what's needed in voting for whoever you're voting for, whether it's a mayor, whether it's a judge, whether it's a president, whatever. Just think what do you need in your life and in your society versus what's popular, And that's how I voted pretty much every time, with the exception of Obama won, because let's be real. I wanted Obama in office so bad, but like a lot of people don't know this, John McCain almost got my vote. He almost got my vote. He was like this close, because I love the way he talked. He's probably my favorite. He's probably my favorite Republican politician. Rest in peace to him. But I always vote for the things that I feel is necessary for me and my family and my existence. So,
as you should. Man, you just said something powerful though. You was like, I want the cupcake, and I think there's a lot of situations out here where we have politicians that's offering us cupcakes. Some of our people are wanting the cupcakes and the extended recess, and at the expense of when that fun is run out, we are left with nothing.
Well,
You gotta look at some of these weird promises that are being made. You know, like I'm not throwing sides out there, but there was something I heard where one of the candidates was talking about making police immune to any type of punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have a certain amount of immunity as police. Most states have. Yeah.
But I guess he was making it a federal law. But what people don't realize is that affects everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. Everybody. So if your son's at the bar and he drank a little bit too much and he's fighting and he's just drunk and then something happens to him, you got to remember that's who you voted for. That's the law. That's what, you have to think about the long term on things like that. Like, another fun fact is, I feel like, a lot of people, y'all probably don't give me help with this. Like, I feel like reparations is, I'm not going to say we shouldn't get it, but I think it should be something that's heavily regulated. And it should probably go to like whoever the oldest in the family is of that tree.
So let me ask you this then. If you believe that money, reparations in the form of money, is that what you're referring to?
Not necessarily money. I feel like, because personally, I would rather have, like me, if I could have I would rather have land.
There we go.
Okay. I would rather have
opportunity. There we go.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
It would be nice if I could send my daughter to college, all my kids to college. I feel like, it's a lot of things that other countries have in place that we don't have. Other places in the world have in place that we don't have. Like, I don't understand why we have to have great jobs with great medical benefits in order to save on insulin and medical supplies and things like that. Mm-hmm. That's crazy to me. Medical industry is $1 billion industry, and and these cats are like winning. And people out here, I was just reading, some guy died because he couldn't afford insulin. I got a refrigerator full of insulin. You know what I'm saying? Because my former job just has great benefits, and I got other connections too. But still, it's like I just feel like it's.
Okay, Brian.
All right, Brian.
Brian said some keto.
Like, do you know how much insulin is? Insulin is super expensive if you don't have insurance, bro. And that's necessary. If you got diabetes, man, and you don't have insulin, it's almost a death sentence.
It's a racket.
Absolutely.
It's a racket, man.
This is something that we deal with in the U.S. is dealing with a capitalistic society that we have, where
medical industry,
unfortunately, they have companies that pay this big money to these lobbyists to go out there and shoot these bills out there in front of the politicians, and the stuff gets through. And so, kind of going back to the conversation is, the reparations situation. We know what this country has done to some of our communities, especially the government, when you have people in places that you've used the government as a tool to disenfranchise Black populations. And we have a lot of our communities that have been redlined and have been drugged through the dumps. And so I don't necessarily subscribe to the theology that throwing a bunch of money at it is going to fix some of our people who have a broke mentality. They're going to take.
We see how money do. Never mind. We gonna leave. I'm gonna leave that subject alone.
I think Dave Chappelle.
I'm gonna say it. We like Noah saying, keep it a buck. We gonna keep it a buck. We see how what we do with money. Like our culture can be real interesting because, like we say, we're not gonna throw no candidates under the bus, but one just so happened to put his name. I done said it anyway at the bottom of a check. And everybody think like, oh my gosh, that was so great. Not realizing we was going to get that anyway, regardless of who was in office.
Right. So is that the first time that politicians have offered a blank check to people of color?
Well, what happens is anytime there is like a pandemic, when something like that happens, the government has things set aside and processes set aside to where if we go through a shutdown and people cannot financially afford certain things, there are some type of financial assistance that will go out.
Yeah.
But I think I don't want us for a culture to have money handed down to us, because I think, like Marlon was saying, land is a big thing. When you have land, you can do much more with land than someone giving you money to put in your pocket, because land you can build on. Land you can create generational wealth with. You can build businesses. You have property. You can build houses and have some Airbnbs. That's money. That's revenue that you can have for your family going year after year after year. Having college assistance, that could really help for those, definitely for our community, for people to be able to go to college. But all jokes aside, we've seen what happens when people do money, quote unquote, PPP loaned. We see how people get money and just blow through it, but have nothing left to show of it.
Yeah, and I think that's important because it talks about something that. So let's talk about the trauma, the racial trauma that's been passed down from generation to generation. If we could be honest, it is a remnant of us and our people that are still in survival mode. Yeah. I'm not making excuses for the raggedy spending that we do, but I think that it's hard to try to get somebody to transition into talking about what's the best for the best version of their future and their legacy, and they can't pay their bills. Right. And they can't pay that type of stuff. I often have a conversation with my kids, and I ask them, what makes a man poor? And I let them kind of answer, and I say, is it the lack of money that makes a man poor? And then no, it's not the lack of money, it's the mindset the man has. So that when he gets the money, he does more of what caused him to continue to be broke, whatever that is. And I think we're dealing with that. And who answers that for our people?
Go ahead, Norris. You about to go ahead.
Come on.
Go ahead, Norris. I think you got to say what I'm about to say.
Come on, Norris.
I think for us, man, I think that the thing that probably saddens me the most is that us as a culture, we have a problem with wanting to be able to acquire or seem as though we are getting what our non-melanated counterparts, have been privy to for decades. So when you get a piece of money, hypothetically, and I've seen this happen. So it's really not hypothetical. I've seen this happen. So you get somebody that is of our culture. They go to the 7-Eleven and buy a lottery ticket. They get them winning numbers. They didn't hit, you know what I'm saying, a Powerball, $100-something million. Okay, well, I'm not gonna take the payments every year or whatever they do. Just give me the lump sum, bro. Give me the lump sum. Okay, so you get you hit 100 million, they give you the lump sum, and I'm just gonna hypothetically throw a number out there. You end up with 60 million left.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, that's about right.
The next thing you know, because I've always wanted the Cadillac with Trues and Vogues. I've always wanted the 75-inch big screen TV. I've always wanted to, be able to go. I want to go on a cruise, so I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to buy the flyest car that I can get. Everything is what I can show you and stunt.
Put that album out.
Put the album out. I got money for studio time now. The mindset that we have is we have wanted these things that we see them get, and they have had for so long that you don't even, think, okay, 60 million. And before you know it, they're broke again.
Of course.
You done blew. You done went and got the fattest chain you can get with all the diamonds, the baguettes, and everything else with the big old whatever sign that you want to put on that mug, the big charm. You buying all of the name brand, Versace and all this old stuff, and you still living in a daggum apartment on 9th Street. Because it's always, I just want. But you're not even looking at the value. Man, it's just mind-boggling to me you know, that we go to the financial literacy piece, which is something that we talk about. Do you know? I mean, honestly, if you smart and you put your stuff in the right places, you could literally live real good just off the interest alone.
Right.
And have that base for your kids and your kids. It's stuff that they've been doing, man, forever that we just aren't privy to. But even if people offer and you know, give the here, man, I got these classes that you can come to. I see that you got this money. Hey, I want to help you be able to invest it so that you can keep it long term. Bobby Bell talked about that with the insurance policies, stuff like that, man. We don't know, you know what I'm saying? But you will have people that will still, hey, you know what? I can show you how to keep this. And people still won't even want it. They won't even want the information.
But the thing about the insurance policy, I was talking to some guys at the barbershop about that because I was sharing the information, like you said, Bobby, shout out to Bobby, definitely very knowledgeable.
Bobby Bell.
Yeah. But I was sharing the information, and one of the guys said, why would I do that? He said, why would I do that? And I couldn't even spend the money. I was like, is that what the mindset is? The mindset is I'm paying for an insurance policy, but it's not about the fact that it could go to my kids and my kids can build something off of that. It's the fact that it's being built, but I
can't do it. And that's what I'm saying.
I can't touch it.
And that's the whole premise of what I'm saying. We have that bad in the community. Everything is a high thing.
I'll let you finish. One of the things I wanted to talk about is let's go back to survival mindset.
Right.
Survival mindset. There's a remnant of us that are stuck in the survival mindset. And it's kind of like, I taught classes, parenting classes and a lot of this type of things. One of the things we talk about poverty mindset and trying to, well, let me put it in a concept. If I can't talk to a kid about a foster kid. I've been in the foster care system for 10 plus years, and you have to kind of bring it down to their level. I can't talk to a foster kid about how to save his money in a 529 account and how he should save it in a high yield savings account and do this stuff. And he doesn't even know where he's going to sleep the next day. He doesn't know where he's going to be a week or two from now. And I think there's a large segment of us that are still operating in survival mindset, that it doesn't matter how old we get. If we get the money, we're going to do things that help satisfy our that basic need of where we're at. And I think we have to have conversations, and I'm glad that us as the Black Men's Locker have that financial component that we're going to keep having conversations with our people of color about. I'm gonna let Marlon say something on it, but that is a very large piece of what we need to do, what we've been doing, but what we will continue to do to help our families kind of come out of their places. Some are going to be like, you know what? Tyrese is right. Tyrese and Norris is right about getting this, listen to this and this insurance policy and how can help my family. But I think we have to talk in terms of how we get these brothers where they're at to the least the next level to where they can help their families. Marlon.
All right. Y'all seen that episode of Dave Chappelle when they were talking about reparations?
Yeah, I think we all seen that.
So
we've all seen that one.
Okay. I watched that without going too deep into it. I watched that. I remember I watched it with my cousin, and I was cracking him. Y'all know how silly I am. And he just kind of sat there and was just watching. I mean, he was smirking a little bit, but he wasn't like laughing. And then when they went off, he was just like, "So what do you think about that?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, that's crazy." He said, "I think that's the reality of us." And I'm like, "Okay." Now at the time, I'm like 21, 22. Well, I'm like 22, 23 years old. So, and he's like, "Well, you got millions of dollars right now. What's the first thing you buy?" And I was ignorant back then. I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna get that Lincoln Navigator, put them things on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a custom out. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, "Well, why would you do that?" And I thought about it. Now, mind you, at that point, I had on a fake chain in front of the middle of the mall. I'm, I was tops and bottoms up and down. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about
we
it.
all was there, man. We all been there.
We were there. Don't do the mall like that. The middle of the mall.
And my cousin hadn't even reached his maturity level yet. We were still young. He's like, well, we do all this for, just try to get women's attention. Women that will probably leave us if, once the money's gone. People that want to be around us and leave us when the money's gone. And I seen it happen. I actually have someone close to me, keep it short, that came off of a 6-figure settlement after lawyer fees. This is life-changing money that she had. She basically wasted it on her entire family and friends. She paid for big parties. She helped her boyfriend get a car. She got her a car. I remember she came to me and she said she wanted to get a Cadillac Escalade. I said, don't do that. This is after the Cadillac Escalade crazed and passed. I said, they give you problems. Don't get that. Get you a like a Suburban or something like that. Don't get no Cadillac Escalade because it's gonna kill you. Nope. You can't tell her nothing. She came next day. She pulled up beep beep beep, all white Cadillac Escalade, happy, smiling. I'm just like, Not even 6 months, and it was used too. That's what makes it so bad. So not even 6 months later, it's in the shop, and they talking about $2,000 for such a partner. I told you, but inside of a year and a half, she spent six figures, bro.
And how long?
Like inside of like a year and a half.
That's crazy.
That's being generous. And I asked her when she spent them out there. So what has improved financially for you, like in your life? And she's like, nothing. I have a truck that barely runs. Nobody talks to me really no more. And she still lives in those income-based apartments over there off of 9th Street. I said, so you weren't even smart to take half that money and put a down payment on the house, or not even half, a quarter of that money, put a down payment on the house for you and your kid. And and I was disgusted, bro. Like, I mean, it was like, I was disgusted. I'm sorry. That's why I switched. That's why I have my stance on reparations. Because, like you said, Tyrese, I know what we're going to do. I know what we'll do. I know. And these companies know, too. They're going to hike up the prices. They're going to have a new iPhone out, the reparation edition iPhone, and they're going to sell out.
People going to buy it.
Yeah, well, they're going to buy it.
It's all about being strategic, And this kind of like when Beyonce announced her concerts, it's always around tax time.
Of course.
Yeah,
because she know that people gonna spend that tax money.
Nobody caught on to that yet. It's always whenever she make an announcement about a tour.
Yeah,
it's right when tax is about to drop. Why? Because black folks is gonna spend that money.
You ever try to buy a car during tax time?
Bruh, they go crazy. They make the deal of a lifetime.
Let us do your taxes and we'll let you drive out. Nah.
So we know exactly how much you gonna get. And we can go ahead and put you in a car and use all of your tax money for that down payment.
Oh, how much is my payments? $800 a month.
A house note.
But that's
man, I want that Tesla though, boy. I'm about to be killing them at the club.
Like, and Marlon, you said something, man, so key that people spend money on the unnecessary things. Like you said, the Escalade was a hot car. People got to get, and Norris, you was talking about all the chains. But, not saying this is an excuse, but what is pumped into the eyes of these young people
all the time
on television and on social media, they think that success is having the best car, having all this jewelry, not knowing half of that stuff, not even real. That car is a rented car that's off the dealership lot. The house that the person has is not even their house. The house is owned by the record label, which this person has to sell a certain number of albums just to pay for that house before they can actually own the house. So they don't realize this whole music industry that is so gassed up that they think that's the reality of how they live. That is not how they live. Like, I was rolling when MTV Cribs come to find them wasn't in people's houses. This whole time we thinking that's their houses. That ain't their house. What was the other show that came on? Pimp My Ride.
Pimp My
We think
Ride.
these people's cars is really getting pimped out like that. No.
It was really nice though.
Yeah, it was dope.
It looked nice, but the car probably drove for about 2 days. Ain't nothing else worked right after that.
Yeah. And that's so that financial piece is something that we really have to, and I think that's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah. I mean, real talk, man.
I would just love to talk to the psychological part of why we do some of that on a show. And then, I would love to kind of touch on that, because that's something that we're doing in the Black Man's Locker is starting to have conversations more about money and how the psychological part of what we're doing has shaped a lot of what we've been getting. And if you don't change your habits, you get what you've been getting.
True story. True story. So we all know and seen the response, because we're not trying to say political figures' names, but everybody gonna know who we're talking about once we start talking. That the response of Black women on one phone call produced, then Black men got on a call and produced a large amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody came at me and asked me the question, well, if they raise all that money, why did they not take that money and put that money into the community and into single parents, households, and things of that nature? And I said to them, well, let's look at a different perspective. And I don't know if y'all see my post, but I use Wichita as an example. Wichita has 40,000 African Americans in the city of Wichita, Kansas. 40,000. If half of those people just gave $50 one time, that's over $1 million that can go into the Northeast community of Wichita, Kansas. So I shared that with this same individual, and they was like, "But why we got to do that?"
This is our community.
Oh my God!
So the mindset. So it goes back to that mindset that you were saying, Terry, is that because someone else raised money, that they're supposed to be the ones to hand it, versus saying, "Hey, as a community, let's come together and use our resources and help the community."
Mm-hmm.
So you won't give your money, but if little poopy pants come out and say this is the newest, hottest, latest, I guarantee you're gonna go spend that money on the newest, hottest, latest that little poopy pants said was dope. You gonna do that?
There probably is a rapper named Poopy Pants.
You gonna do that?
I'll give you another weird example.
That's the truth of what happened.
I'm gonna give you another example. Okay, now I'm pretty sure all four of us didn't take part in this, but there was a program that the government had where they paid $30 towards people's internet during the pandemic. Basically, it was like whatever internet service you had, if you met a certain income guideline, if you had kids in the house,
the ACP credit.
Yeah, ACP credit, you get $30. You know what I'm saying? And which is cool. Now, working at Cox when I worked there, one thing I noticed is that people, let's say your internet bill before you got it was $70. Okay, we got the credit. That take you down to $40. Instead of taking that money that you're saving, they feel like they got to have cable now. And this isn't just black folks. This is white folks too. So I'm not saying it's just black folks. I'm not trying to bash my people.
But you talking truth. You talking truth.
Oh my God.
Or they gotta have, even though 250 megabytes per second was fine, now they want to get the big one because the dude plays Madden and he wants to have, even though all he has to do is hook his Ethernet cord to his Xbox and he's good to go. Now he gotta have Wi-Fi. But and then once the ACP credit was gone, because let's be real, pandemic's over. You know what I'm saying? COVID's like the common code now. So it's like, it's gone now. I got calls where people were like crying because now your bill is super high because you wanted to, you didn't take advantage of that discount. When I got my stimulus check, and I'm proud of this, my mom would be proud of me too. I got the stimulus check, bro. I didn't even know it was in the bank because I was working still and I had other things in play. Because I got laid off one job, I was getting money from that. I had another job, I was working with the post office, helping them out. So I didn't even know the money was there until someone mentioned it. And I was about to call and say, hey, where's my money at? But then I happened to look at my bank and I saw it was there. It came like maybe a month before I realized it was there. A month after that. I'm like, wow. So like when you are financially sound, you don't really notice things like that. You can just go and give your card and buy your 6-pack of beer. You ain't got to think about, damn, I got it. Hey man, cash out me a couple of dollars. Make sure. Nah, you ain't gotta do none of that. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's financial freedom when you ain't gotta worry about it. You ain't. It doesn't mean rich, because Anthony Bourdain was rich. He was rich as hell, traveling the world, eating good food, meeting great people. You see what happened to him. And I hate the mindset that our people are in. I really do, because it seems it's so weird. It's generational. We get that money, we feel like we got to spend it. We got to be flashy, from worldly folks to church folks. You go to church, people got to have big hats on. You know how much them church hats cost? I'm sure y'all know. I'm sure y'all know.
He talking though.
He talking, but
he's speaking true. I'm a PK, so I've seen it where in churches, and we not gonna say what denomination and what church and what you're talking. We're gonna leave that alone because Marlon already know which one I'm talking about. But I've seen it before where people will spend money on outfits and all this stuff for convocations and go home and lights is off. No food in the refrigerator. But yet, you done got this whole outfit, the sparkly and the hat and them Stacey Adams shoes, all to look good in front of people. We gonna leave that alone. We're talk about voting.
Hey, don't get me about voting. We're supposed to be talking about voting.
I know, to me, I feel like because it's your money. You do what you want with your money, and the people that did that for that politician, the black women. Let's be real, black women, white women, Mexican women, everybody's doing it. Everyone's doing it for this politician. So I'm not mad at it, but that's their money. And my motto has always been, it ain't tricking if you got it. If you can afford to do it, that's not my business.
That's real.
Terry, if you want to go out and put a sunroof in your office for your clients, bro, if you got the revenue and it ain't gonna put you in the red, let me sign up, because I need to come check that out too. Because that's gonna fly and give them sparkling water. If you can afford it, cool. It's just that when you can't afford it, because I'm gonna be real with you, there's so many people out here who feel like they can't afford things, and they can if they budget right. You know what I'm saying? If you budget right, you can afford so much stuff. It's simple. My grandmother, my mom's mom, this woman would go to Food Line. She would do all types of stuff. And this is a woman with cancer. She didn't have all the financial means that she's supposed to have. But yet there was always Sunday dinner. There was always food to eat. Bills was always paid. You know what I'm saying? It's about budgeting. It's about getting things right. But some cats can't do that. Some cats, they got to go to rent a center because their TV's too small.
My brother's triggered.
You're right about budgeting.
Y'all triggered my brother.
Hey, hold on. Look, this is talking about budgeting. Look, I gotta give a shout out to the best budgeter available. Listen. Well, my grandmother, Carrie Lawless, rest in peace, has to be the best budgeter ever. I remember my grandmother sent me up the road from 12th in Minnesota to that Save-A-Lot that was on 13th. What was that, 13th and Grove?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where was it?
Yep.
My grandmother sent me up there with $20, a list of food, and some coupons. Now I'm looking at my grandmother like, okay, Grandma, I see the list, but you just gave me $20. There is no way I'm about to bring all this stuff back with just $20 and these 7 little coupons. Y'all want to know? I came back to my grandma's house with $13
with some change. Yeah,
with some change.
Quit playing.
13 freaking. I'm sitting there like,
How?
But my grandmother studied budgeting. She knew how to budget. She knew how to take care of her money. And I think that's one thing that I watched my mother do, the exact same thing. So I think when we talk about things that was generational, as you would say, Terry, if we would start to teach, like we can't fix what happened yesterday, but now with our children, if we can start now going forward and teach them how to budget properly, that can create a whole shift in our culture.
And I think it also changes the way that we think about money and how we share it with the next, not just the next generation, but how we have conversations with each other.
Yeah.
But that financial piece is definitely something we need to go ahead and have a whole entire show.
Yeah, we need to dive into that.
It's obviously we all have stories about this, but it's, obviously, some of us have not even had any revelation of the insurance policies, 529 college accounts, that type of stuff. I didn't even know anything about until I was in my 30s.
Right.
So we definitely, and we're doing a great job on our platform of educating men and having those type of resources available, and we will continue to. Unfortunately, that's our time today.
But get out and vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The theme of this
get off here because Gary Fields then jumped in the chat, and that's the way he the one made me laugh. So that's his fault.
Yeah.
Lord,
I already tell your daddy to stop making these comments. He said it's definitely still tricking if you got it, and I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it was.
It was on time at the moment, though.
It was
on time at the moment, though.
He caught me off guard, bro.
Hold on, y'all. You talking about my brother or my dad?
I don't know. Just Gary Fields.
I think that's your brother.
It might be your brother
because it might be my look. Hey, my brother got the money to do that.
He said it was brother. He said you was brother.
Entrepreneur and own $1 million business, so I can't even.
Man,
I let him do what I let my brother do what my brother do.
Well, young Gary got me. Because I sure thought it was Gary Senior because I know he clowns.
Well,
all right,
why he taking my mama on trips?
Man, let's wrap up, man.
I love my family, man. I love my family. Y'all love my but real quick, I know I missed the first part, and I promise this ain't gonna take nothing but a minute. I promise I won't be longer than a minute. But I know we was really talking about voting and making sure everybody was voting. And specifically talking about Black men, making sure that we're showing up at the polls when it comes to actually voting. And I was on a call as I was driving, through Tennessee that I was listening to, and it was Roland Martin and a whole bunch of other guys that was talking. But he actually said something that was very profound to me, and he talked about how a lot of times when Black brothers have a odd against voting, or they feel like we should not vote. As those who are pro voters, we just take our hands off of it and just be like, hey, whatever, do you. Don't complain. Don't boo. Don't boo. Vote, But he said something that was real key. He said a lot of times we really have to take the time, and it might be difficult, but just to sit down and have an easy, cool conversation. Because what he learned and what some other men learned is that the mindset of certain people when it comes to voting and voting for specific candidates, it's lost in the sauce. And he said sometimes it just takes bringing awareness to certain things. People question, well, what did this person do since they've been in office? Well, we all know reading is fundamental, and you can find all the information online. But we know as our culture, we don't read. People go on TikTok and watch 30-second videos, and now they have an opinion on a presidential candidate without actually doing your research. So sometimes we just got to sit down, show the facts, and just have a conversation. But I encourage whatever party or whomever you vote for. I know who I'm voting for. We said we're not going to talk about that specifically. Because y'all call me spicy Ty. Y'all know I'm with the smoke. But hey, I've been with it for the last couple of days. But in all seriousness, please, brothers, show up at the polls. And the reason why we say that is because as leaders of our community and leaders of our families, it is very important that we are the first ones walking in to vote.
Man, all minds clear?
All minds clear.
Okay. We got any announcements? about what we got going on.
We'll say that for next week. We got to piece a few things together.
Yeah,
we'll follow up on that.
All right. Well, it sounds good. We had a great show. We talked about some definitely some things we need to have a full conversation about, which is the financial situation of our homes and our communities. But we definitely encourage brothers to go out there and be on the polls. Sisters, be out there on the polls. 18-year-olds, be out there on the polls. These are the rights that our ancestors have died for and fought for, our civil rights. And so I don't even know how to end this thing. It was so
Watch
powerful from the points. Absolutely. Watch the debate. Stay informed. Yes.
Stay informed. And
register to vote.
I was done in 1 minute, but one last
register
thing.
to vote. Stay informed.
Man, this dude trying to preach. Come on, bro.
One more, and I'm done.
You didn't took a text.
No,
this is your third close.
This is my third close. No, in all seriousness, please take the time to be informed on both candidates. One thing that I could say that I do is, although I am siding with one particular candidate, I do take the time to listen to what the other one is saying to make sure I'm making an informed decision, making sure that my decision is correct and accurate in what I believe. So don't just listen to one person and be like, no, listen to both and then form your decision.
And not just the presidential. Don't just wait till the presidential time period to start looking at. No. We just talked about earlier about the local elections. Find yourself busy taking care of your community and having conversations about local politicians and what they're doing for you or what they're not doing. Absolutely. Until next time, Black Men's Locker, I'm Terry Norris, Spicy Ty, Pittman, Marlon. We out.
Peace out.